The return up for Parlow. Leaves it off. Here's Mia Hamm in the box. The shot. Goal. She's got the record.
Hey everyone, my name is Sabria Whitaker and I'm the founder of Grow the Game.
Erica Pioncastelli here, Tokyo 2021 Olympian.
This is Carly Jackson, professional goaltender for the Buffalo Beauts.
Hey everyone, this is Connor Moore, the social media manager of the Chicago Sky.
For the first time in franchise history, the Chicago Sky are WNBA champions.
You are now listening to
Women's Sports Matter.
Women's Sports Matter.
Hosted by Gianna Belcastro.
Arike Ogunbowale wins the national championship for Notre Dame.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Sports Matter, your one-stop shop for all things women's sports. My name is Gianna Belcastro, and I am your host. Guess what? It's another interview, because if you thought I was going to talk to my computer screen for an hour again, you are mistaken. I don't want to do that ever again, but sometimes I have to, okay? But I really love doing interviews. And I have a really awesome guest on today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Young. I just got married, formerly Gina Snyder. Went to the University of Arizona and played softball. And I just recently finished up with my last season at Athletes Unlimited.
Pretty epic. Well, I do want to say first, congratulations. Can you talk a little bit about your wedding? I saw a bunch of pictures on Instagram. It looked very fun. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, of course. No, it was so much fun. Like, it was a COVID thing, so we did basically have to postpone it. So we were engaged for over 2 years, but we finally got to have our wedding in Mexico. There was like a spike literally as soon as we had our wedding. And so it was kind of difficult to work around. It was like green light, no, never mind, there's another strain going around. So we had a few less people come than we thought, but it ended up working out really well. And most of us did actually end up getting COVID from it. So
nice.
But other than that, it was wonderful. It was everything I could have hoped for. So
it was a beach wedding, right?
Yes, beach wedding in Mexico.
You get sand in your shoes?
I didn't wear shoes. We just were like,
you
no
wear shoes?
Nope.
I was gonna say, like, when I go on the beach, yeah, and I'll like walk over, and I don't even think about like taking my gym shoes off. I'll just be like, God damn it, I got sand in my shoe and it's gonna be in here for an eternity. I hate it so much, and this is why I never go to the beach anywhere, because I really don't like the beach. I'm a beach hater, but I
love the beach. We just moved so while I was like training, I was coaching at UNF in Jacksonville, Florida, but unfortunately I won't be there this next season. I just moved from the beach and I'm so sad. I'm in West Virginia now.
Is there anything that's like that you love the most about the beach?
I like that you can literally just do whatever. So it's like a low cost. If you want to do something fancy, you can maybe dress it up a little, or you can have a casual, like, it's just always there, and it's whatever you make it.
Being buried in the sand.
Yeah.
I
like the ocean though. I like to swim and like tan. So
one of the I'll go to Lake Geneva sometimes, or even like Lake Michigan, and like it's trying to step into the water and there's a bunch of rocks there. I'm like, nope, forget it. Why would I even go in when it's like the ocean's protection is right there? And it's like, I should buy some swim shoes. It's like stepping on Legos,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I can see how that would not be it. Like,
yeah. And also I just burn easily anyway. So it's like, I don't want to put sunscreen on every 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I will burn. I'll tan everywhere except for my chest. And so my chest will get like red and peel, and it's not fun. So
Did you have fun like tan lines when you played softball? It'd just be like the cutoff of the sleeves, and it's like, oh, this part of my arm is red, and everything else is just like so like white, and you're just staring at it like.
yes. Oh my God, yes. Because coaching too, like I'd get those awful tan lines. So before the wedding, I had to get like a tanning membership so I could keep up. Because I was like, what a horrible way, like, because I had like just like a spaghetti strap dress, and I was like, God, that would look so awful in pictures, just having like the white
the different colors on your arm.
Yeah. But yes,
so funny.
Not a stranger to those tan lines.
Yeah, it takes me back to like when I would play sports outside, and I would look and I'm like, well, I mean, I will not learn my lesson. I definitely will not learn my lesson at all. But I just think, like half of my leg will just be red. Yeah. I don't even tan. I don't even know. That's the one thing that I don't understand. My sister can tan. I burn.
Oh.
It's like, who decided?
Like, how did this happen?
Who decided this was going to be a thing?
Yeah. Luckily I tan. I don't really have to. I don't ever wear sunscreen though. So like. It's okay.
I wear sunscreen, and I'm a sunscreen hater. I'm a beach hater. You know what? I'm not I used to be a hater of softball, but I'm not anymore. And what took it? Well, okay. Here's a fun story time. I played baseball growing up, and so I was like the only girl that played that played baseball, and my mom tried to put me into softball. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to be different, and so I hated softball after she tried to make me do that. And then I watched the Olympics this past summer, and then I was like, okay, wait, this is cool. And then I took my cousins to Athletes Unlimited softball in opening day, which is how we met before. And so I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with AU and like how all of that came to be.
Yeah, so this is like kind of the theme of my life. I feel like I just kind of was in the right place at the right time. I feel like I was able to play a little bit over the summer before Athletes Unlimited, just while the Olympic teams were getting ready. And so I was kind of part of just a team that was like going to help get them ready. It was just like a low key thing, and played against the Canadian national team, and Vic Hayward's on that team, and she's part of the PEC, and so they had a last minute like dropout, like a pitcher who wasn't able to make it. And so they had reached out to me just through there. And so like, honestly, I was like in shock when I first got the text. I was like, there's no way, like, this is crazy. But it was real, because I thought it was fake. I was like, someone messing with me? I was like, no way. But then I really was like thinking, I was like, wow, like, let's do this. Because it was literally like, can you make it to Chicago like this weekend? And I was like, I don't know. And I was just starting on with UNF too. And so I was like, let me see if I can, text our coach. Of course, she was fine with it. Like Coach Marcy at UNF was like so cool. So I didn't know that at the time because I was just starting, but it all worked out. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, let me like give you my info and hop on a plane tomorrow.
That is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like the perfect start to something really cool. And that season that you played in was the first where fans could be in attendance. And what's really cool for me is like being from Illinois, and you have everything. You have like 2 women's professional teams, and then you have all the men's teams out in Chicago, and with the whatever, I'm blanking on the name of the former softball league, whatever.
NPF,
yeah. When that fell apart because of the pandemic, not having something like that here anymore. And then, Athletes Unlimited comes along, and you're finding out all these different things. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know we had that here. And so being able to experience that was epic. I think I would say there's so many words, honestly.
Yeah, it is so cool too. Like, and I almost want to go back, like, as a fan, because I feel like the fan experience is really cool because they take it so seriously at AU. Like, they do all the like in the dugout meeting, like chats and stuff like that. Like fans are such a big deal and like doing all the signings and stuff. So like I always want to go back. Like I want to go to OKC too as a fan, because I know that experience is really cool too.
Yes, getting into the world of softball this past year has just been like so eye-opening, and it's a whole different community, and just the people are great, the athletes are great. Well, believe the word should be more than great, phenomenal, just like superstars. I could keep going on and on. I want to ask you about, this year's College World Series has been like indescribable, yet I'm at a loss for words for softball. Just the total powerhouse of Oklahoma. It just, wow.
They were like on a mission from day one. Like I remember being like, wow, like I don't even know who else is going to be in it. In the beginning of the year, like who's going to make it to OKC? Like, let's like guess who's going to make it. I'm like, okay, well, Oklahoma. And then it was just kind of like you never know. And like, it was like that. It ended up being crazy. Like you had all the upsets with like Arizona making it. Of course, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. But yeah, it was a really cool year. Like even though Oklahoma just completely steamrolled over pretty much everyone, like it was such a wild card. Like even for Texas to make it, that was crazy. I never would have guessed that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I feel like I was maybe a little bit of a latecomer to college softball.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed right away the success of Northwestern, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I started following a little bit more in the school that I'm going to next year, or this fall, I should say. Nebraska winning the Big Ten championship was like, oh my God, like that's my school. Like that's so cool to see. And just like figuring out like what other teams are good, and like who's the dark horse, and just I was even amazed to find out that some of these other schools had like a softball program. That's always so fun to see, like a school you'd never expect for some reason. Just like, oh, North Texas has a softball program. I had no idea. Now I know. And then I click the follow button, and it's part of my many other things that I'm trying to follow along with.
And they're like really good too. Like Hope, the pitcher from OU, came from North Texas. So it's like funny how, it is growing like rapidly too. Cause there's so many people like that out there that have no idea. And then like, I've yet to have somebody actually watch or like put a little bit of effort into investing in it and then like hate it. Like they're always like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
I did a live show 2 weeks ago, and they were asking me about like viewership for college softball, and like they were saying they were from Louisiana and they don't have this stuff on national TV, and you're seeing things like AU get a deal with ESPN, and some of their games will be on the different ESPN channels, and then also ESPN Plus, and then like a whole like documentary thing going on. And then you just have like the Women's College World Series having more views than the men's, which is like, whoa. Like, right? I just like, what are your thoughts on all this stuff?
It's cool. And like I said, like I like knew it was coming. Like it's very rapid though, like exponential growth. I feel like it's been crazy. Like the numbers they've put up have been insane. And so it's so nice to see that happening, like in my lifetime too. I feel like you never really knew. And there are so many women that came before us, and it's so nice to see it happening like right now. So it's really like, I remember like just recently when AUX was playing, me and my husband went to the bar and we were like, oh, like we want to watch the game. And the basketball finals were going on, or I don't know, I don't follow basketball at all. So like, they're like, oh, the basketball game. And I was like, no, not the basketball game. And then like the softball game was on ESPN, like actual ESPN. Yeah. They're like, what channel? I'm like, oh, it's literally this channel. Like you guys are going to be playing it anyways. And so I don't know, it's so cool to see like how much it's grown and just how quickly it has been. And then of course I'm always like, oh my God, like I played with them. Like I know them all. Like this is so fun.
That is perfect. My favorite thing about going to a restaurant is like already seeing like the WNBA on or something like that. Yeah. Just be like, oh, I don't have to ask, because I will make it. I will cause a problem in a restaurant if they like refuse to have it on. Because I've seen
as you
tweets where
should,
it's
yeah.
I see tweets where it's like they refuse to put the W on. I'm like, it's a sport. It's
Right?
on like ESPN or ESPN2. It's not like it's on ESPN Ocho or something. Like it's not some weird like cornhole thing. No, this is like
Yeah.
real professional sports that are going on these main channels, and you're refusing to put them on. Like
Right.
Like, come on. Have you seen the bar in Portland, the sports bra? Have you heard about that? Yeah.
Yeah, the sports bra.
Yes.
That is so. I like want to. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Okay, I'm like, I hope I'm right. I said it so confidently. But yeah, like I'm like I've never really been out there to that part of the country, but like I would totally make a trip out there just to go because that's crazy. I'm sure they're doing phenomenal. Like
they're doing so well. And I knew from the start, like when I saw the account pop up on Twitter and then I saw the Instagram page, I knew like this is not going to be something that fails. Like people are going to flock to Portland to go to this bar just because like it's the only bar that only shows women's sports.
For sure. Yeah, it's so powerful. Like the women's sports community is like so strong. So like that even if the sports bar was like, I'm sure it's not, but even if it was just like some dumb, like people would still support it.
Yes, the women's sports community, like in general, is just mind blowing. Like I'm still shocked every day. Like people like listen to this show, which is like I didn't expect it to go anywhere, and then people like listen, and I'm like, oh, you want to hear me talk? I don't know if I want to hear myself talk. So I'm sure they do it because of the people that are on the show. So like,
no, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's like I said, it's like in that market, it's such a like powerful market. And it's like, let's do something with this. Like, especially now with like social media and like, so many people have platforms now that like, it's like, why not support them all?
Yes. And then with the 50th anniversary of Title IX just happening last month, and you're seeing all these TV deals happen, and I think my favorite TV deal that has happened this past year is the women's Barclays League in England, the women's soccer league, getting a deal with Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So it's more accessible for people, and plus I love watching Chelsea destroy Arsenal, so that's like my thing. So to be able to have access to that without like clicking a sketchy link or something like that,
right?
To have that kind of access is great. And also, I mean, the AU deal is pretty freaking cool too. So
for sure, yeah, it's definitely making some progress. And even like the OKC, like having the World Series format adjusted to kind of be a more similar format to the men's World Series. And so, or I guess it's just College World Series or whatever. But yeah, so it's like there's like so much progression going on, and so it's just like really cool. And it's cool too because I'm like, when I have a daughter, like, I know when I was growing up, I never was like, oh, I want to play professional softball, because I didn't really know it was a thing. It was always like, pick your college and see what you want to study, because softball is not forever. But now I can be like, hey, like, it can be forever if you really work at it.
Yes. It's a true option for you.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that the weirdest thing that I see is like people making the jump that are like 15 years old. And this is the case, I think, for the NWSL mostly. You got like 15, 16, 17-year-olds playing in the league. Like there's someone my age that's has the highest contract in the entire league. It's like the amount of young people, like I feel like I'm not accomplishing enough because there's these people that are doing this stuff.
Well, what's crazy too, and I feel like that's another thing, is like how much like social media and just like the internet has helped progress just the ages. Like, I mean, there's like power athletes. Like, I mean, the skill level is amazing just because they have so much, like, there's just so many resources. I feel like, you have like all these groups and all these, even like just videos, like YouTube videos. I mean, like even TikTok, like I follow Danielle Laurie, and like she posts some really good stuff. I'm like, I learn from her all the time. I'm like, wow, like just these little things that like you don't really think about, or like you may not have access to normally, but the internet like makes it possible.
Yeah.
It's so cool, like to see all, I mean, even just like in the records being broken, like, not saying it had anything to do with it, but like Jossie Allo absolutely demolished the home run record.
Absolutely. Oh my
Like,
God. Yes.
so it's like cool to see, like how much better athletes are. Like, no shade, to the, OGs in the sport, but like there's just so much like access to all these resources. It's so great. Like I could post something and it can reach 1 million people.
Yes.
Now. So it's pretty cool.
The power of social media.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
Mhm.
I think mainly because I feel like I'm a part of the social media generation. I'm supposed to know how to do all these things. I don't know how to use TikTok. Like, I don't know like what to post. I don't know what does well. Even when I post on Twitter, it's like, am I typing this correctly? Like, is this supposed to be the funny way that you spell this word, or is this the correct meme format? I feel like an old 20-year-old. I feel like I'm not doing it correctly. And this is why I have other people doing this stuff for me, because I don't want to jeopardize the future of Women's Sports Matter, because I don't know how to use social media.
It's like a full-time job. It really is.
It is. And it's like, oh, well, you're supposed to be doing your homework. No, I have to post this tweet on my show.
Right?
It's like I have a million jobs and one of them is tweeting.
Yeah.
For free.
Right. It is literally a full-time job. Like, people do really get paid to just like understand social media platforms, like different ones too. Like, it's so
I don't understand. I love the AU Twitter, and I love the people that are behind it. They're amazing people.
Yeah. No, they're so fun. And like the stuff they post, I like will literally laugh out loud. Like,
same.
When I scroll past, I'm like, oh my God, like who thinks of this? Like, this is so funny.
Did you see the media day TikTok of like it was, I think it's telephone.
Yes, I did with like Gwen and that. Yes.
I laughed at that one. It was good.
No, they're so funny and they're so good too. Like, I feel like they post stuff like right away. I'm like, I would spend like a whole day editing this. Like, I don't have
That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm like, it takes time, but like, nope, they're just like, boop, 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 here it is.
They're experts, and I love it.
Yeah.
Moving on to college. First of all, I would just like to apologize to you on behalf of living in the Midwest that you had to deal with Purdue weather. Because it's not fun. And I don't know why people like do this to themselves. They'll like go to school this one place and you have to deal with snow for 4 months.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was definitely like, and I did it for 3 years. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, like for some reason I just don't really think about Purdue that much. I'm always like, oh, like University of Arizona, like, yeah, that's where I graduated for. Like, I was actually at Purdue for 3 years and I was only in Arizona for 2, and like I was there majority of my college, and I don't know how I did it. It was such a shock. And I almost feel like when I was going through the recruiting, I was like, snow is fun. That looks like so much fun. Cause I like had no ideas. Like, everyone was like, seasons, they're beautiful. No. And then I got there and I was like, what? Like, I have to like winterize things and like sweep leaves and like put on a million jackets and buy boots and like all these things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at least you don't have to deal with lake effect snow, which I have to deal with because I live in close proximity to Lake Michigan. So it's not fun. Like, if you are someone that is thinking about going to school in the Midwest, I advise strongly against it just because of the snow.
Yeah, the snow is like, thankfully they have like indoor facilities, mm-hmm. like, like if we're gonna do it, like at least they like help you out a little bit. And I remember our first like month of season was traveling south, traveling to the west. Like, we were never at home, which is kind of fun, but it definitely gets old. Like, I know I'd be like, oh my God, like we have to get on the plane again, like we have to go through like the whole travel and then like constantly missing class. Like, I mean, my first semester I was struggling, like, because I would miss like 2 days a week for like an entire month, and I was like, I was like, all this travel, like, I don't know. It was nice to get out, but
Yeah.
it definitely was a lot once you get into it.
I want to ask you about when you had your first encounter with snow. What was that like? What was the thought of that? Like, did you think, oh, like this is like I could build a snowman, I could have like some fun with it? I'm sure the school does like snowball fights too. I've heard about that from many school tours that I've been on in the Midwest. So it's like, oh, and like this is the place where you have your annual snowball fight with your classmates, and it's like I don't think I want to participate in that. I just the final thoughts on Midwest weather. Just go ahead.
Yeah, my first snow I thought was really cool, and then I woke up and realized that like nothing was canceled. I was like, it's a snow day, like nothing's canceled. I was like, okay. So like getting out, and then the car was like frozen over.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is my first encounter with snow, but it definitely was the first like snow year, like the year. I actually ripped the door handle off of my car.
Whoa.
Because it was frozen. Like snow is just inconvenient.
It really is. And to the snow day part, that's hilarious. But sadly,
Yeah.
sadly, it's not always the case.
Yeah. I was like, cool, like class canceled. Nope.
Yeah. No.
Not.
No. I only had maybe one snow day happen in college. I mean, I went to the first 2 years of college for me was at a junior college. So it was just like mostly online. And then sometimes you have class in person.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that it was a snow day, I didn't have a class in person. So I was like, well, can you maybe move that to tomorrow?
Yeah.
So I don't have to drive half an hour to class. But snow days are fake now because of technology.
Yeah,
so,
I know, really.
I hope that for me in the fall, in the winter time, that snow is not bad. I don't know anything about Nebraska weather, but all I know is that it's better than lake effect snow.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know anything about it either.
I'm going somewhere that I've never been to, and I always like laughed at people like, oh, you're going to a school that you've never visited before, and that's really stupid.
It happens. I don't think I visited Purdue. I did my visit after I committed.
Whoa. See,
yeah.
Now I've never been to Nebraska before, so now I'm just going to a place where it's like, okay, I picked this place, and now I guess I live there now.
Nice. That's cool. It's cool though. Like, I feel like even though like my experience at Purdue wasn't amazing, it was still like a really good. Like, I'm glad I did it because I learned a lot. I met a ton of people. I mean, I met my husband there. Like, so like I like experienced life on my own.
And you saw a bunch of farms.
Thrown into it. What?
You saw a bunch of farms too. That's another thing.
Oh yeah, so many farms. Yes, and like no mountains. It was just like flat.
Yeah, that's another thing about the Midwest. There's nothing here. My cousin goes to Purdue. I have a bunch of friends that go to Purdue. That's one of the actually two of my cousins go to Purdue, and I have a bunch of friends that go there. And I went to a football game this past year, and driving there only took 2 hours and 30 minutes. And just like I don't know if you've ever driven in between Illinois and Indiana, but there's a lot of fun signs on the way there.
So I think, I have, because we actually like would drive, I think, to wherever we would play. I think
U of I or Northwestern. Yeah. There's some fun signs along the way. I don't know
and
if
we
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's always like my favorite talking point is like when people are maybe from here or they went to school like somewhere around here, like you say fun signs, people know exactly what you're talking about. I don't have to hurt anybody's feelings. You know what it is. It's hilarious. And I laugh every time, and I'll like read them out loud to my family. I'll be like hell is real or something like that. And it's just like, it's hilarious. Like,
yeah, you're like, are you like, what are these signs supposed to be telling me?
I know. Honestly, I think it's just So like Illinois is time to get political. Illinois is in a sea of like red states, and so it's very like Christianity is everywhere. So like they'll have these signs of like, and then there's like another fun sign that's like at the one after that, and so it's like I see the different messaging. Oh, and the fireworks signs.
Yeah,
fireworks signs are my favorite because like need fireworks, and it's like this big like image of 5 different types of firecrackers, and it's like, oh, take the next exit. I don't need fireworks.
You're like, why would I need that? And it's funny too because in Arizona, at least when I was growing up, I don't know if it still is, it was illegal to have fireworks just because it was like so dry out there. It's like fire hazard, or I don't know if it actually was, but fireworks were like a big fat like no, like you probably should not do this. And so there was like openly a thing. I was like, what is going on? We're just gonna set the world on fire?
Yeah.
But it's not really a thing out there. But
it's illegal to sell fireworks in Illinois. So people will go to like Missouri or Indiana or Wisconsin to go get fireworks. And the funny thing is that there'll be like state troopers on the borders. And so they'll see the people that go in and out really quickly, and then they'll pull them over. And then there's that. So I've never been a part of one of those rides before, but I find it hilarious the extent that people will go just to shoot some colorful things into the sky.
I know, God, you got to get that excitement in.
But I'm glad someone else that I've talked to has seen the signs and knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's always something that I really have to ask, because it's such an important topic here on Women's Sports Matter. It's it's the type of journalism everybody wants and everybody needs.
Yeah, gotta love it. We're here for the people.
Yes, we are. So we just talked a little bit about college. I know you said that you didn't go to your school after you committed. Can you just talk a little bit about what that kind of process was like? Because I always love learning about, how these athletes get their offers, and, the amount of time that it takes for you to like consider the pros and cons of everything. So I just want to learn a little bit more about the recruiting process.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when I was talking about at AU, like just kind of like crazy things just happened and I ended up where I ended up. Well, that's like kind of how Purdue ended up. Like, so I would say I was fairly late bloomer. I didn't really get good until like my junior year. And when I was going through the recruiting process, like if you weren't committed by like sophomore year, you were probably not going anywhere, like anywhere big at least. So I didn't really start looking at the right schools until it was a little bit too late. So I wanted to go close to home. And I was looking at smaller schools, and a lot of them didn't have scholarships, right? Like, I kind of missed the boat on that. So just like one of my teammates who was younger than me, so she was kind of like in her prime recruiting time, was like going on a visit to Purdue, and she was like, yeah, like they actually need a pitcher. So like, and just they were a new coaching staff there. So I was one of their first in their recruiting class. I think there might have only been 4. It was like me and 3 other ones in their first class going in. And so they actually like were watching her, my teammate. She was a catcher. And then they were like, oh, interested in me. And so then basically when they got the new job, or when the new coaches got there, the previous pitcher in my class committed, followed the other coach. So it just ended up they had the scholarship for me, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And so I actually didn't like get in contact with them until my senior year. And so that's why I just was like, let's do it. Like the money's right. This is at this point, this is probably the best I'm going to get. And it was late. And so I just committed. And then later, I think a couple months later, I did my official visit. And so and the weather was actually not that great on my official visit. It was like in April. And it was still pretty cold. I don't think it was snowing, but it was like very cold. And so they like warned me. They're like, it's very cold. But at the time I was like, oh, that's cool. That's different. Like I need to get out of the heat. And so, but yeah, no, it was definitely not your average recruiting story. So, but I'm glad I ended up there, and we're all worked out in the end. I mean, I guess I ended up transferring, but like I said, I'm glad I ended up there. Like if I didn't go through the injuries or anything, like, it might have been different, but everything worked out.
So you're saying that you had nothing lined up and then just miraculously they're like,
yeah,
oh, here you go.
not really. Yeah, I didn't really have much going on. Like I also didn't take it very seriously. Like for all the like younger high school athletes listening, like please take your recruitment seriously, because I did not. Like it
It's a
was
very
just,
important time.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
just was focused on playing. Like I was just kind of like, oh, like that, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know what I want. Like, I just had no idea. I mean, I wanted to be an engineer, and that's literally just because that's what my dad did.
Mhm.
And I did that for a semester and failed out. So like,
Wow.
I had no, like, I don't even think I knew what engineering was. I just was like, oh, I want to play softball. Like, that's all. That's it. I
Yeah.
just want to keep playing softball, and wherever I end up, I end up. So, and back then, like, it was just emailing. Like, I mean, like, there was really no YouTube video postings. Like, we had like a cheesy skills video,
Mhm.
and that was kind of it. So, recruiting was like, you had to take it seriously, because like coaches don't just stumble upon athletes. Like, they don't just like, find out someone on YouTube. Like, not that it happens often nowadays, but it's a little bit more of an option. But yeah, no, it was definitely something that if I could go back, I would have took it a little bit more serious, a little bit earlier.
Well, I mean, like you said, it all worked out.
Yeah.
But to touch more on like Purdue itself, could you just talk a little bit about the program and some of the things that you accomplished while you were there?
Yeah, no, it was a really good experience, just as far as like I loved the school. Like the school was awesome. And then being able to be like in the Big Ten, I know, and I think it helps too, the fact that like I was part of the first recruiting class in the new coaches staff. But I started right away, so like I was able to actually have an impact, which is something that even going through recruiting I didn't really think about. I just was like, oh, like I don't know, like I didn't ask these right questions. And so that was another thing that it just made sense. They were like, you'll start right away. Like, we really need someone to come in and take some innings. And so, yeah, I went, I got, I was in and out, because honestly, I don't even know if I was ready to be like a full-time starter in the Big Ten my freshman year. I learned a lot. I was pitching under a couple seniors, and then another pitcher, Lily Fetcha, who was like, holds a strikeout record. I mean, she was awesome. And so being able to learn under her my first 2 years was really, really good. I learned a lot. Eventually, like I didn't end up getting to be like to fill her shoes, but I was ready. Like at that point, my junior year is the year that I redshirted. And so with injuries, I had injured my arm and then had ended up in the hospital. And so that's kind of where my junior year was. But if that wouldn't have happened, I really did feel ready. I loved the girls. Like they had me, hyped up, but yeah, no, it would have been good.
I want to follow up on that about the injury. You have come back in a way that, not many people could. And I've read numerous articles about this, so I'm sorry for asking the same questions. Okay. But it basically came from nowhere, Yeah. Did they ever find out the root cause of what had happened?
No, they never did. And it's funny you say that, because like I have like talked a lot about it, but I feel like every time I talk about it, like I'll like remember something else, because it was so much like, right, like there was no warning, it was just kind of like boom, like it started out as just headaches, and then next thing you know, I was in the hospital, because I don't even really remember much about it, because I was incoherent, because it was like a brain thing. So but yeah, no, there was a pretty wild ride, like going from working out every day, and then I ended up in the hospital. I lost like 20 pounds within that week. My recovery was really hard, just getting back to normal, like even just like everyday stuff. And so I think it really does encompass like who I am today, because going through that really showed me like how to look at life a little bit differently. And so I always say like me as a pitcher at Purdue was one way, like, but I did struggle a lot. Like, I had to learn the hard way, a lot of things. Whereas after I kind of realized that you can literally lose the sport, and honestly, like your life, like not to get super deep, but like, it was a pretty serious injury. And so like, once I realized like how quickly things can change, I took, every single workout, like I was like, oh my God, like my tryout, because I walked on to the University of Arizona. So like my tryout, I was just like, I just got to do it. Like, what do I have to lose? Like, I might as well just try. It's another kind of thing in my life that just, I think ended up working out like in my luck, but yeah, like luckily the coaches saw something in me. They saw like my potential. And so every single day I was like taking these practices so seriously. Like I really was on a mission to become the best player that I could be, because I knew that you never know. And I would hate to be finished with the sport saying I didn't put my all into it. And I know that looking back at what I had done at Purdue, and when I was like, wow, like that could have been it, I knew that I had left so much on the table. My last game was, my last start in a Purdue uniform before that was against Northwestern, and I pitched my ass off. And like, unfortunately, we lost 1-0. I want to say I only gave up 2 hits, and one of them was a home run in the 7th, and so we lost. And I like pitched so well. And then the next game, I came in relief, and it was during the Big Ten tournament, and just did absolutely awful because I just didn't think anything of it. I was like, I just wasn't really in that right headspace. I was wasn't very consistent. And so I knew like, if I get another chance, like I'm going to take full advantage of it. And so that's kind of why, like, people look at, because my first start at Arizona, my senior year, so I got one start my junior year against Stanford. I ended up getting pulled. But my senior year, my first start was against Team Japan. And that was like when I was like, I don't even care who I'm playing against. Like, I have worked so hard. Like, I'm going to make it count. I'm going to basically have as much fun as I can and put my best foot forward. And thankfully, we ended up winning. But yeah.
I want to go back to the whole hospital thing, because I know from experience too, like just a random like thing can make you all of a sudden like just be stuck in a hospital bed. I mean, there was a time in October of 2020 where I was in the hospital for 3 days because doctors thought I was gonna have like kidney failure. And I was like, what? I am like as healthy as I can be. And they told me, like, Gianna, we don't know what the hell happened. I'm like, well, I would like an explanation, please. So that was like, it was like the start of freshman year of college, and I was like, I am super healthy. Like I played a sport every year of my life, basically. Like I take care of myself, and then I'm in a hospital bed for 3 days, and I lost a lot of weight too. And so like getting back to that, I was like, I'm like, my whole mindset changed.
Yeah, no, it does. It's crazy. And like, I never like want to wish anything like that on anyone, but it's like, they really are like life defining moments. Like, it's crazy. And you never found out why either?
No.
That's crazy. That almost makes it like scarier, because you're like, it literally could happen tomorrow. You don't know. Like,
yes. And like every time where what happened was I like could not eat or like drink anything.
Oh God, yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm just not hungry. And so my mom was like, oh, well, you should eat a few crackers and like drink some water. And I was like, no, I can't do it. And so like after 3 days, which I don't even know why we waited, I was like, I think we should go.
I'm not eating or drinking anything?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, it's the 3rd day or the 4th day. We should probably go to the doctor. And so I was at emergency care for like a few hours, and they like did a bunch of tests. Yeah. And this was like during when COVID was going on, and we're like, oh, is it COVID? No. Is it this? No. And so they told me that my kidney levels were really low and that I was very close to kidney failure. And I was just like, what the hell? And then this was during the beginning of school, and everything was all online. So it was like doing all my stuff, and I was like behind in a bunch of my classes because I thought I could just procrastinate and do whatever. And so I had to do my first night at the hospital. I had to do a bunch of assignments. I had to do a bunch of mini quizzes because God. I was like, hey, so like I'm in the hospital right now, and I didn't
professors
do all
don't care
stuff. Yeah, they don't
they're like, it's fine.
They don't give a shit. And they were like, well, you kind of waited the last minute, like it was due that night, and they were like, you waited the last minute. I mean, I could give you an extension for this week, but like you gotta do it. And so I sat there with my laptop and I was like taking these quizzes, or I don't even know if I had my laptop. I think I did it on my phone. I took all my quizzes on my phone, and I didn't even eat until later in the second day. They gave me a bunch of medicine and I got better, and I still get nervous to where like I feel like how I did before I was in the hospital, and I'll get nervous like, what if it's happening again? I just
no, I'll get like a headache, like just a regular headache, you just get them, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm like, oh god, hopefully like I can speak normally tomorrow. Like
it's just super scary stuff that I will probably remember for the rest of my life.
And you know what is like, so if I could like relive my life and maybe be blessed with like more intelligence, I would totally go into like the human body and like just like even like pharmacy kind of stuff, and the way that like your body reacts to certain things. I think that stuff is crazy, in like the brain, and like how insanely complicated it all is, but like everybody's doing it regularly. Like the things our body does, like just without us even thinking about it, is crazy to me. Like, I don't know. I'm surprised things don't go wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I trust this to be happening all the time. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm not a big science person, but like sometimes I'll think about, like this is a thing that's happening right now. And then I think about it too much. And it's like, well, maybe you should stop thinking about that. And then I'll like just keep thinking about it for like another hour, and then it'll pop back up in my brain, just like, oh, remember the thing you were thinking about 5 hours ago? Guess what? We're gonna think about it again right now. And I'm like,
like what? Yeah, it's so weird. And it's almost like, I don't even know. It's just like so weird to me. Like, and it's just so unpredictable too. Like there's so like, I feel like I come across it more often now than I would have ever thought. Like a lot of cases are like ours, where like doctors just couldn't figure it out.
And they're like, oh, well, just don't do this and that, and you'll be fine.
I know. I'm like, how can you not figure it out? But like, then I really think about it, I'm like, who am I to say that? Like, I know I can't figure it out. Like, I can't diagnose someone with like just a regular cough probably, like, but it's just like so crazy how complicated it all is. And like, I don't know. It's just like life.
Science, life, all this stuff. But I do want to ask you about like the mental aspect of all of that, because that is just such an incredibly hard thing to come back from. Like, I just want to know your thought process from when you were released from the hospital until you got that offer to play at Arizona. Like, did you ever have you ever like talked with a sports psych or like done any of those things?
Oh yeah, my first year back was really, really hard because I wasn't good, like I was recovering. And so things that I never thought about, like just throwing a fastball or like just regular stuff, I had to think so hard about it again. And that's why, like, because I initially quit because I was told, and I honestly believed it too, that I would never play competitively again, like at that level, just because my recovery was from literally ground zero, like learn to walk. I remember being cleared to throw like overhand, like to do like light softball stuff basically. So I was just going to play catch, and I didn't know how to throw overhand. And I like spiked the ball and just immediately burst into tears. And I was like, wow, like first, I don't know why I thought that like softball would just come back to me when I had just spent like months learning to walk. But like, I just thought like, oh, like everything's normal when I'm on the softball field, but then it wasn't. And so I had to learn, I mean, my workouts were like throw 10 fastballs and like hit basically hit the net. Like, I mean, my accuracy was so bad. Like I was throwing so slow. Like it was so awkward. Like I felt like I was throwing left-handed. Like when I like say, if you're to do something that you do like all the time, like when you write left-handed, like it literally felt like that. And so I went back home after I basically quit, and I went back home. And then that's when I started back up just for funsies. And I was like, let's just like see, because like I'm bored, and at this point I'm like a former athlete. I have no idea what else is, means anything in my life. I'm like lost. And so just like throwing with my dad in the backyard just for like fun. And then one thing led to the next. But I was not very good that first year at Arizona. I worked really hard and got like, eventually everything kind of came into place, but I got like shelled at practice, like in scrimmages. Like I remember they're like worried. They're like, should we get her a mask? Like we're worried for her, like getting back into it. But my progression was pretty quickly, just because I had that mindset of like, we're going to be the best because we're not leaving anything on the table. So like when I look at where I was before, not really throwing even confidently at all, and honestly just the confidence too, like, and I might be like being a little extreme, being like I was so not ready physically. Maybe I was like in the conversation, but just like mentally the confidence was completely shot. And so I talked to our sports psychiatrist a lot. I met with her weekly, and so she helped me a ton. Just kind of realize like, you're not comparing yourself to the past you at Purdue. Like that girl is gone. You need to compare yourself to the day before and just progressively get better one day at a time, and it'll all compound, and eventually you'll get back, and if I did, and I was like, at that point I was like, if I don't, at least I can say I gave it my all. And so, but it was definitely a journey.
I would assume so. Like just the fact that you played softball again and were able to finish out your college career and then move on to AU, like just like I'm at a loss for words. Like that's just phenomenal.
No, surreal. Yeah, no, that's why I say like, I feel like I just right place, right time. Although like I worked hard for it all. Like, I definitely worked my ass off, and like I did everything I could with the opportunities that I got. But like, I just look at it, I'm like, wow, like I remember learning. People probably don't remember when they were first learning, like I'm sure like little things, but it's kind of just memories. But mine was so recent. And so I'm like, I remember like struggling to hit like the plate, honestly, like the strike zone. Like I remember struggling to hit the strike zone at one point. It was so recent. And then being able to go back. And I remember like not really throwing hard at all. Like it was like change ups every time, like just not throwing hard because I didn't have any strength. I had no real like muscle connection, and like even at like a basic level. And so, and then being able to actually say that like I ended up hitting 70, and it was like a huge deal for me because that's just like a huge deal, I feel like, in general. But I like really worked, like, I mean, I took everything so seriously in softball, like in like the practices and stuff. Like I was like that person that was like, we're gonna everything's going to be perfect. Like I will never cut corners. And so it all ended up, coming out. I got to see the fruits of my labor, thankfully. But yeah, like anything's possible. I mean, for anyone listening to, like, making those strides, like if you just really dial in, like anything's possible.
Absolutely. And when you were in your recovery process, was school something that you wanted to go back to? Was that even something like, I'm coming back from this, I don't know if I want to continue on with school? Like, I just want to know a little bit more about that.
Like actual classes?
Like going back to school, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I literally went into our advisor and I was like, please just give me the easiest classes. I ended up getting my degree in general studies because I was like, transferring was kind of a really good thing for me because academically you don't transfer your GPA, but I had to drop a lot of classes because I missed a lot of school. I fell really, really behind. And that's on top of failing out of engineering my first semester. So I was already behind. And then I really had to play catch up a little bit. And so I basically went into our advisor and I was like, what transfers the most? Because I have a jumble of credits because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I said, I just wanted to play softball. So, and yeah, no, I did like the easiest thing I could basically get into. I mean, I kind of had it set up to where my last semester, I only had one credit and it was a 6-week online course. So yeah, school was not my thing. I ended up getting a master's to make up for it. But yeah, at that time in my life, no.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that, school wouldn't be of the utmost importance, clearly. But yeah, I mean, I was just a little curious about that because you were considered a student athlete.
Yeah.
So
not in my eyes.
Not in your eyes, no.
Like, nope.
When you were in college, NIL wasn't a thing. I just want to know your thoughts about all the NIL craziness that is going on right now. The one thing that I would like to bring up as well is the fact that, it wouldn't be fair to the female athletes that are doing it because all the money is going to go to the men. And I think one of the highest paid individuals in the NIL space is UConn guard Paige Beckers. So I just want to know your thoughts about from when you were in school to what's going on now, like with the NIL things, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think NIL is awesome. I think that it can, of course, get messy. But I think it's a great opportunity for female athletes to kind of like vouch for themselves and level the playing field. Because, I mean, it's no secret, men get paid way more than women in like, a sport very similar. And it's just like, you compare, not that they're the same, but baseball to softball. Like I know the draft just happened. Like those guys got drafted and are making millions.
Yeah.
Whereas like, from an actual just organization, I don't know if many softball players, I don't know how much the top are getting paid, but I can't imagine it's multi-millions, and it's like so many of those baseball players got it. But in like the NIL deals and the endorsements, and even to let athletes start doing it in college is huge because college sports for women is a really, really big deal. In softball, maybe not so much anymore, but for a long time, college softball was kind of the biggest stage you're going to be on. The professional teams didn't have nearly as big of a following as the college teams did. And so I think it's a really cool way for athletes to kind of open up the floor to say like making equal pay. And I mean, gosh, some of them probably should get more. I mean,
yes.
Like, I'm surprised if they haven't already, surprised they haven't surpassed a lot of the guys, just because I think too, and like, I don't want to be like sexist, but like a woman is going to work hard for her money too. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And so like, just knowing that they can kind of like vouch for themselves and make their own money, and seeing how much like they really can be worth, because it is a lot. So I think it's really cool. I'm sure some people might disagree and say it's ruining college sports, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. And the one thing that, I've never understood was like, when you're in college, this is like the great time to like get a job where you're at, and you can save some money, and like, oh, maybe you can go to like your school's football games or whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking, so these are full-time student athletes. They probably don't have the time to work.
No.
So how are they having a source of income? How are they able to purchase things? And that was always something that's on my mind. I don't even know why. I would just think about that constantly. I'd be watching like an Oregon women's basketball game, and I'd be like, they're full-time student athletes, like, and they live in like apartments. How are they able to do that?
Yeah, no, that too. I mean, there's so many things around it, like just like the time you put into being an athlete, and like sometimes it can be a dead end, like as far as financial payments go, like, you generate all this money for the NCAA, and then you don't get to see any of it.
Yes.
It's like, why do they get to, retire off of what these athletes have been doing? So it's really cool that they can actually start. It is a job,
Mm-hmm.
So it is a really cool way to see that, like, that time that they put in is going to be, they can actually pay for themselves. They get kind of that status from it.
Yeah. And then people have like their own clothing brands, and they're like having their faces on these different products. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Like the creativity. I'm like, let's go. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I love seeing Caitlin Clark's post with I think it's an Iowa store. And it's like a what's in the box ad, but it's like clearly a commercial for this store.
Yeah.
And she's in it, and she's like promoting the store, but it's also like kind of fun to like watch the video, and it's just great marketing. Bottom line, invest in women. It's totally worth it. There you go.
Definitely. Yep.
Now it is time for the lightning round, which I've been told by my family that it's not so much a lightning round because people take too long to answer, but I don't give a damn. You can take as long as you want to answer the questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
What is a book that you are currently reading, or it can be an audiobook? Just what do you have to recommend to the folks that are listening?
I have not been reading, but I just read Mindset by Carol Dweck for my master's program, and it was amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend.
There you go. There's the recommendation. Go read the book now. Stop what you're doing. Actually, no, finish this episode first, and then you can go look up the book, because I would like you to listen to me finish the episode. There we go. Next question. I was reading through, I think it was your coach profile for Northern Florida, and I want to know why your other favorite stadium to play in was IU when you were in the Big Ten. Because that's kind of a questionable thing to say, especially because of the rivalry. Is it because of the rivalry that you enjoyed playing there? I'm just a little curious about that.
What's funny? I don't even know if I remember saying that.
I did my research before. I was curious.
That might have just been like something I put out there because of the rivalry, but that rivalry was really, really fun. No, it definitely
I know all about
fun.
that rivalry.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. Like, I know growing up in Arizona, I didn't think anything could beat like the ASU U of A, but that rivalry
was
super fun. Yeah.
Do you ever go to Purdue football games by chance?
Oh yeah, my husband played football there, so I was there all the time. I'm not gonna say it on here. There's some more vulgar language than what I've already said today, but the FIU chants there, that was fun to listen to in that stadium. Fun fact of the day, I've committed to many colleges before, and the first one I committed to was IU. And so my cousin, who I'm very close with, currently goes to Purdue, and so
we had like this rivalry going on, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna stay home and go to junior college. And so there was that. But in my closet, I currently have a Purdue hoodie and an IU hoodie. They do not belong together.
Oh God, that's so funny. No, the football games they were so much fun.
They're a blast, but standing for 5 hours, no, thank you.
Oh, I never lasted the whole game. It was always the beginning tailgates. That's the fun part. When I say the football games, I'm talking about the tailgates.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't get to participate in the tailgates because I had to follow my cousin along everywhere. But the reason I have a Purdue hoodie is because I was gonna blend in. I was using another student's ticket, and so just run by really quick and be like, here's my ticket on my phone, and then go along past, because I like to break the rules sometimes. Okay. Anyway, I was just curious about that one because it's such an odd thing to put down.
That is funny. And I don't remember putting it, but it was fun. I probably was like, I wonder, because I've played in so many stadiums. Sometimes I don't realize, because I played in 2 different conferences.
I mean, 2 great conferences to play in, by the way. So there we go. One of my other lightning round questions for you is, you were a coach for a bit, and I know you aren't doing that anymore. Can you just talk a little bit about your coaching experience?
So I was at JU for the first year of my coaching. I was a GA, and then I got that actually, so that's a lie. That was my very first. My very first was in the summer league, and it was my intro, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I fell in love with it, and I was like, I love coaching. And so from there, I met someone on the JU staff, and that's when I ended up at JU. And then I wanted to stay in Jacksonville to finish my school, and UNF was looking for a volunteer. And so I was like, oh, this works out perfectly. So from one rival to the next, but I got to stay in Jacksonville, which I did love my time there. But so I got my 2 years of college. I coached in the summer league for 2 summers. It was really fun. I actually got to visit them last 2 weeks ago before their season ended, just to see some of the old players, and some of the girls. Actually, a lot of my summer players are playing with the Florida Vibe now, the professional team. So got to see all of them. So that was my coaching. And TBD, I just moved to West Virginia, and they do not have college softball. So I might end up doing something with the kids, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, since you bring up the Florida Vibe, I just want to know your thoughts on the WPF, and since it's a brand new league started by a former University of Oklahoma player, with they have a very busy schedule. They're going to a bunch of different places. They're going to Peoria, Illinois for some reason, and I just bring that up because it's such a weird place to go to in my state. But the fields that they're going to look pretty nice, so I'm gonna not judge them for that one. But I just want to know your thoughts on the talent that is in that league, and what maybe some of your expectations are.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be, obviously, I think it's in very good hands. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker, is that Lauren Chamberlain is already someone who's a huge figure for softball. And so her following automatically is going to fall in love with it and support it. So having someone that's so passionate about it and has been in their shoes is going to be huge. And so I think that she's going to do great things with it. I know there's only 2 teams now, but I really think it's going to blow up. I think the talent is good, and hopefully they can land some, because I think that AU getting that ESPN deal was a really, really, huge deal. And so hopefully they can get on some, get a big deal like that. Yeah. I think that would help a lot. Obviously, I know this year was kind of just the 2 teams playing each other. So maybe not the year for a TV deal, but I think it'll blow up for sure.
And moving on to AU, do you have any predictions for who the season 3 champion could be?
Oh my God, that's hard. That is so hard, because I know it's been a pitcher every year.
Yes.
So which is funny because I remember when I looked at the score, I was like, dude, pitchers are the only ones that can possibly get negatives. Like, that's not fair. Like, how does that make sense? But then I like saw it play out and I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, because I mean, if you pitch a complete game, which is obviously very hard, there were only like a handful of complete game performances, I think, in that first season. And so if you can like do a complete game and not really give up many runs, like you can earn like tons of points. And then usually you'll get the MVP vote, and so like, I mean, one really good complete game can shoot you up the leaderboard. So I would bet that it's a pitcher.
Okay. Are we thinking repeat from last year? Or are we thinking someone new?
I think it's going to be a rookie. Like, I know that's like bold of me, but I'm a really big Georgina fan from USF, Georgina Korick, and I think she did really good in AUX. And so I think it would be cool to see her win it. I know there's a ton of new pitchers though this year.
Yes.
And so, and like, I mean, you never know, because with Thule winning it too, coming off of the second season, she did amazing at AUX. Like, you just never know. So I'm really excited. Like, not saying it's a surprise because they're all such good players, whoever wins, you're going to be like, well, they're really good. So it makes sense. But I think that's what makes it hard, is because anyone could win it and it would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been trying to educate myself on every single player that runs to this because I'm trying to, up my coverage of softball. And I honestly, going into it, I thought McClenny was going to win it. That's my pick for season 3, though. I'm announcing my pick here. You heard it here first. We made our choices of who we think's going to win. We'll see if that plays out. But yeah, I'm just super excited to see some softball in my state again. It's epic. That's the only thing I got to say from that. And my final lightning round question for you is, for the athletes that participate in AU and especially with women's sports, you have more like access to fans and like that kind of interaction. I just want to know, like, when you're standing there and signing softballs and other things, like, what's going through your mind? And, with the people that you're interacting with, has there been a favorite interaction that you've had?
I haven't had a favorite interaction yet, but I do love every interaction I have, just because when I see them, I see something that can continue the growth of the sport. If you can just inspire, like, even just one of those girls to make it her, I mean, and that's the whole motto of the WPF, like, protect her dream. If you can get like just one girl to like really take this sport and run with it, and like, you just never know, because look at what Jossie Allo has done for the sport. I think she's been huge just in the growth, because a lot of people, because obviously my husband, he's in the football world, and so like we talk about softball because it's just a common ground, and they're always like, oh, that girl on the home run chase, or she was like such a icon for so long. And so like, it doesn't take a lot to really blow a sport up. And so to be able to interact with those girls and to hopefully inspire them in some way to continue on, I think that's really special. So
yeah, good answer. I'm gonna give you a little clap. I'm not gonna do it so loud because I don't want to hurt the people wearing headphones, because I have hurt people's ears before because I talk too loud. So I'm gonna avoid hurting people's ears today. But shame on you for wearing those tiny AirPods. That's just ridiculous. This is why you get regular headphones like the ones I'm wearing. Also, you can't connect Bluetooth to this. You got to plug in stupid wired headphones. But this is the time where you get to shout out anybody you'd like. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, shout out anybody?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
No idea?
I know, I feel like I'm on the spot. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, I have to shout out Georgina Court because she's my pick. I think she's gonna do it. I think she's gonna take it and run with it. I love her.
There you go. That's the shout out. And also now is the time, since it is the end of the episode. Just tell the folks listening where they can follow you on social media, keep up with what you're doing, all that.
Yeah, so I am Instagram and Twitter at Gina Snyder Young. I added the young.
It's a very fancy addition. You got to update everything, you know?
Oh, got it. I'm not even close.
Not even close?
Nope, not even close.
Like driver's license still?
Nope.
Still
Nope. Driver's license, credit cards, none of that.
None of that. Yeah, I got to change. Like I moved houses during the summer when the pandemic happened, and so it still has my old addresses on it, and I'm moving away, and so I'm like, I don't know why I'm procrastinating to get my license changed and my ID, even though like I need it changed when I go away to school because it can't have any old information on it. I don't know why I do this to myself.
It's because the DMV, like, or whatever. Oh, I don't want to go there. That's why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
Like I did my legal name, like legally it's changed, but that's about it. And my passport. And that's pretty much it.
I don't even know. My passport is not changed either, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then when you dive in it, there's a lot.
Now that I realize it, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I'll need my passport for a while. At least I hope I don't need it. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Yeah. Although I wish I could. Yeah. And take a little nice vacation somewhere. But well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you. No, it was fun. It was so much fun. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And now I'm gonna do my least favorite part of the episode, which is my ending spiel. I'll try not to ramble on for 4 hours, which sometimes ends up happening, and I'll like trip over my words. What I used to do is I would try and go really, really fast just because I can. And this is a very unserious show. But now I have it slowed down a bit so it doesn't have that kind of effect. But here's the spiel. If you want to follow me on social media, guess what? You can. I am on 4 different places. On Twitter, it is at WSportsMatter, and on Instagram, Facebook, and the TikTok, it is Women's Sports Matter. See how easy I made it for you? It's just like the name of the show. Super accessible. Go follow right now. There's a bunch of great resources linked down below, like Register to Vote or NAMI, Trevor Project, the Players Associations for a bunch of different women's sports leagues. Go check out the links. I don't really have anything else to promote. I mean, go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to watch this episode and other episodes, like the actual video. Like you can do that. You can see who's behind like the voice of Women's Sports Matter. No, you don't. You don't want to see that, but you can see who I'm interviewing. I guess if you want, but we're 25 subscribers strong, and I highly recommend that you go subscribe because I want it to be a better number than the number 25. Now I think I don't have anything else to promote. Go watch women's sports, support your local women's sports team, and go watch some softball, everybody. Thank you again, Gina, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to end it now. I'm going to go do something. I don't know what. Not homework. Probably update my website. But that's going to be it for me. I will see you next week. That's all, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.